Made years later. All right, tilt the camera back up here. All right, this is the RobBrod Report, version 1, number 12. Hopefully I'll be able to upgrade to version 2 here in another week or two. But this is a special week going. I actually went to a show in person, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But first of all, let's look ahead to the shows coming up this weekend. First of all, on Friday the 14th over in Piedmont, Alabama. You always have to say Alabama like Keith Jackson's. I'm sorry, that's the only way to say it, is like Keith Jackson. No excuses otherwise. Piedmont, the ProSouth show will be featuring the return of Brian Pillman Jr., along with a ladies match and a couple other matches. Check their information on Facebook. If you can't show up in person, check out their feed on YouTube. Search ProSouth Wrestling. ProSouth is one word, it works best that way. And you'll be able to watch the YouTube online, and they do have Patreon as well if you want to support them. If you can't be there and buy a ticket, you can support them by using Patreon. And then coming up on Saturday, I've got 6 shows that have been brought to my attention. First off is Total Aggression Pro up in Cornelia, Georgia. We have Renegade Championship Wrestling in Chatsworth. In Macon, Georgia, we have a wrestling benefit show for breast cancer. This is possibly, for me, the most interesting show of the week. I'm not too sure if I'll be able to make it or not, but it's me. The only thing they announced today that they planned Simon Sermon Eddie Honcho match was canceled as Eddie Honcho has been tested positive for COVID-19. So, all thoughts and prayers out to Eddie Honcho for a speedy recovery. There's also a free wrestling show out here in West Georgia at the Gold Dust Park in Villa Rica, Georgia. It is outside, and you need to bring your own chair. So it's outside, bring your own chair. That's the Gold Dust Park in Villa Rica, Georgia. In Ardmore, Tennessee, we have EWA Wrestling. Thank you to Uncle Biff for sharing that information. And over in, I'm going to mess the pronunciation of this up, is Nauvoo. That's Nauvoo, Alabama. That's New Era Wrestling. They also win the unofficial poster of the week. I like their poster. I think it was well designed and put together. So that's New Era Wrestling in Nauvoo, Alabama. So those are the shows that have been brought to my attention coming up for this following week. As we're getting closer to more shows opening up and up, especially since Scenic City was canceled and Southern Cup was canceled back in March. As you know, when I see a tournament of some sort or sometimes a Rumblejack, I will do an odd sheet of who I think will be the overall favorite and who might win, and I'll be doing that upcoming for the Southern Honor Wrestling Lumberjack match. That's on the August 28th. As soon as they finish announcing all the names and designate who's going to be the first entrant, hopefully the second entrant as well, and who's going to be the last entrant, I will do an odd sheet for that and spread that around. But that's mental exercise I like to do. If you bet on that, you deserve to lose your money. All right? This is for entertainment purposes only. So, I watched 2 shows this last weekend. I watched a ProSouth show on YouTube. I liked the show. I really like the draw to brawl format, or what you would call it. It's a concept. Yeah, I like that. Apparently, it's not the first time they've done it. I'm not aware of any previous time, so I can't, comment. But I like that because it gives you a lot of flexibility in determining who the last 2 people are. And if you want to know information, you can read my show report on gwh.blogspot. Just go to gwhnewsandnotes.blogspot.com. And you can see, a little bit more about how that breaks down. And some of the other matches on there were quite enjoyable. It was my thoughts are better than the previous show. As it was, previous show was at the ending of the match, like 3 matches ended in a very similar way. That I would prefer more of a mix-up on that, but the draw to brawl thing. At the show, that show was very enjoyable in my opinion. The other show, I actually broke my isolation bubble, and you can read that show report again at Georgia GWHnewsandnotes.blogspot.com, I believe, or you can check the Facebook page, Georgia Wrestling History, and also it should be shared to my Facebook page, the RobBrod Report, and you can read about that there. When I broke the isolation bubble, it had the most interesting matchups, compelling matchups I felt for that weekend. Not to put Southern Violence and Wrestling down, they did an outstanding show out there from what I've read, and hopefully I'll be able to get out there soon enough to watch one of those shows. So I broke my isolation bubble, and it was nice to see some familiar faces. I missed a lot of those guys and gals, and so it was very nice to see people out there enjoying themselves. I counted 150. I did that after intermission. I allow, usually about 5 to plus or minus 5 people, because people might be outside smoking, but I didn't see any real change in that numbers. It felt like there were more people at the beginning half of the show, but I could be wrong. If they want to post their number, I'll be more than happy to accept that. Matches themselves, the Battle Royal for the contract. Some faces I knew: Austin Towers, Ashton Storr, Tyler Culprit, and Ryan Rembrandt. I'm very familiar with. I've seen their work on some other a lot of shows across Georgia and in Alabama. Excuse me. Some of the others I'm not familiar with: Jacobs, Wolf, Worley. Wasn't too familiar with, but it's the ending of that showed Jacobs winning, and then Zach Edwards returning from injury, from what best I can tell, sneaking in, throwing him over the top rope. So a little bit controversial there. It was announced that Jacobs was the winner, but it sets up a match between the beautiful bald besties, Zach Edwards and Michael Stevens, versus Ed Jacobs and Owen Parker. The besties attacked Owen Parker and shaved part of his beard. Bad hat, Harry. And then the rest of the matches were very serviceable. The ending of the Sells Sermon match, the ring worked against them in that thing. If you ever look at that ring compared to other rings, the ropes were basically higher up, and the leverage did not work. Physics is a bitch, folks. And otherwise it was a very enjoyable match. The ending just kind of blew it apart. The main event was totally bonkers. Another match, the tag match with Friday and Dominique Stuckey versus Dirty Blondes. I don't know what the ref Maze's thing is. Apparently he's messed up a couple matches that have both Stuckey and or Friday involved, so that might be an ongoing angle there. And the main event, like I said, was totally crazy. There were a couple neat spots where they were teasing throwing someone over one of the bleacher balcony near me where I was parked at. That was pretty cool. And then the ending was the old Bella twin switcheroony. So that was great. That was get you something going, and kudos to I gotta say this, kudos to the guys in the ring, including Nathaniel Spivey, the referee. Everything was positioned perfectly where Spivey wouldn't be able to tell the difference between Neil Koloff and Alexander Koloff. So it was very well done. Tip of the hat to that. So it was a very enjoyable show. I did make an error. I put September 22nd as the next show date for the 30-year anniversary. It's actually September the 12th. That's the 3rd-year anniversary. Again, that's September the 12th. So that was a typo on my part, and I take full responsibility for that. So that is my RobBrod report for the week. I don't know if I'm going to anything, I'm going to the breast cancer show or the free wrestling show. it really depends on how I'm feeling. I do have that day off, but that's something to look forward to. Working my way back into my wrestling journalism shape, which is usually around. Anyway, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching. If you have any suggestions, or if you know of any shows upcoming that you want to be featured or mentioned, please message me, and I'll make sure to get into the next report. We'll look forward to speaking with you, and see you at the matches.